Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Rob. That's a tough act to follow, but a very important message. And what I'd like to do is I want to do a little audience interaction, if it applies to you. I got two questions for the audience. The first one is if you served in the military, in the chat, if you would be so kind, please put your branch, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Space Force, Air Force, Coast Guard. If you did, and if you didn't, that's okay. That's fine. But we'd like to see if we have any veterans with us, and maybe there may be some that are still in the uniform. That'd be okay too. Although we're looking at veterans, we're going to talk about a little more define about what veterans are. And we've got a Marine, got a soldier, airborne, Semper Fi. All right. And very good. And so now for the other folks here that maybe not in might be not in the military or have not been in the military, do you have a family member that served? And you can put the branch of that person in the military as well. Do you have a family member of any of those six branches that Rob mentioned? We got Army. Thanks, Elaine. Appreciate it. Ashley, grandfather, Navy. All right, Maria. Wow, look at this. We got all kinds of family members here. Thanks, Connie, Air Force and Army. Dewana Beeman. Hey, Dewana, good to see your name. Father was in the Air Force, brother's in the Army. Thanks, Terry. Wow, great, wonderful. I think this is kind of making Rob's point here about how knitted in that we are as veterans into the nation. Thank you so much for participating. Dave, your aunt was Lieutenant Colonel. Awesome. Very good. Hey, thank you so much. I want to just continue on the platform that Rob built for us so very expertly. And I'm going to talk about a few things here. And the thing I really want to bring up here, and matter of fact, Karen alluded to this in her opening when she was showing us those headlines. And so I want to discuss how the recent DoD policy decisions, how they impact our veterans. And they're landing not on all veterans equally. And what I mean by that is veterans that are women or minorities or from the LGBT community are being much more adversely impacted than on people who look like I do, white and male and heterosexual. And I don't know why that is the case. We'd have to ask the people who are building these policies as to what their final outcomes are. But regardless of the why, there are adverse impacts here. And there are people literally being erased from internet and museums and schools and all kinds of places where we once very easily and readily acknowledged and highlighted the accomplishments and service and sacrifices of our veterans. That's what we're going to talk about. Rob touched off on veterans and who they are and gave us some really good information on some stats, but I want to make sure we all understand what a veteran is. A veteran is somebody that used to serve in the military, and that's a very important distinction. Whether it was active duty or National Guard or one of the reserve organizations, they used to be in a uniform. And I think it really is important to acknowledge the level of courage it takes to put on a uniform. So if you don't know, when you raise your right hand and you swore or affirm to support and defend the U.S. Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, what you are in essence doing is you are signing and writing a blank check. And that blank check is payable to the American people up to and including your life. And as we all know, sometimes those checks are cashed. So it takes an elevated level of courage to do the work of being a veteran. Doesn't matter if you were in the National Guard or the Reserve or you were in the regular Army or regular military active duty. It doesn't matter. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And we're a very, very, very diverse force, in terms of veteran forces. About 90% are men and about 10% are women, and that's tipping because as the veteran population ages, more women who have come into the service is going to increase that percentage going up. And so men are going to decline a little bit as we have more women who enter in the military and then pass through to become veterans. That's going to happen. About 74% are non-Hispanic white, about 12% black, 9% Hispanic, excuse me, and then 5% Asian and other populations that we measure. And even in the LGBT community, about 10% of women identify as LGBTQ in the veteran population and about 5% of men. So, where are we? Where do veterans show up? All kinds of places. Investors, business owners. Rob and I are both veteran business owners, and I'm sure there may be some here as well. There's about 2 million of us that own businesses, and we employ about 5.5 million people, and we produce about $1.3 trillion in revenue. So we are definitely in the business world. We make up about 12% of executives in the corporate world. We make up 8.5 million people in the adult workforce as veterans, and we're customers. We're in your communities. We're in city and state and local governments. We're on school boards. We volunteer. We do fundraisers. We help pick up trash on the sides of the highways. We do all kinds of stuff. So veterans are doing a lot of stuff in a lot of different places. So let's go back to this DEI purge thing that Karen introduced us with here. And there are literally tens of thousands of internet pages that have been stripped away from our service academies, from our internet, from the Department of Defense, and the various services. And again, it's removing services, sacrifices, and accomplishments of people that, in some cases, literally gave their lives to achieve. Um, we're missing information on people like the Tuskegee Airmen or the Navajo Code Talkers or the Choctaw Code Talkers that some people aren't aware of, or Jackie Robinson. A lot of people know Jackie Robinson as a famous baseball player to, break the segregation, links of the 1940s baseball, but he was in the 761st Tank Battalion in Germany in World War II, which is a famous unit all by itself, and he's been erased. Now, some of these erasures have been replaced because of outrage, basically, of citizens saying, "Wait a minute, whoa, stop! You got to put these books back. You got to put these pages back up, because these are people who have really served us um, honorably, with distinction, and as I said, sometimes paying it with their lives and their limbs." So, what is the impact here? That's really the next portion to talk to. There's a lot of impacts, and none of them good. So when we look at ourselves, and I can't speak for Rob or any other veteran that might be here, but I'll tell you one thing: being a veteran is a distinct and incredibly important component of my identity. 28 years, 8 months, and 5 days. I gave my life. I wrote that check to the American people, and it's really, really important to me. And I'm going to make a guess that it's probably as equally important to every other veteran that's out there. And so when you're going to tell somebody that their service doesn't matter, man, that's whoa, what are you doing now? What are we talking about here? Because you're talking about removing or erasing or discrediting somebody's identity of who they are. This can result in decreases of motivation and engagement and resentment and bitterness and burnout and emotional trauma and depression and anxiety and a lot of stuff that's not going to be very good. And we don't want any of that stuff. Um, we also can have things that happen in terms of our institutional breakdowns. So if I think that my service wasn't accounted for or important, then maybe I don't want to interact so much in the workforce, going back to Rob's point, or to other various programs that are designed to help me transition and me grow and develop as an individual in the population. It sends a signal that my contributions or our contributions aren't valued. Disengagement of VA programs. Unfortunately, I have met too many women veterans that have directly told me, "I don't feel like I'm a veteran." This is prior to this DEI purge, by the way. And that's very saddening to me because if you, whoever you are, raised your right hand and served, you're a veteran. And so we already have some people that have a feeling that they're not fully involved and don't count. And I'm here to tell you that you do. Thank you for your service. The other thing that I don't understand, and this is just baffling to me, is I don't know why we would want to be discrediting people's service when it comes to recruiting and retention in the military. Because if I am from a population that's being erased, I don't know if that's going to motivate me very much to want to join an organization that doesn't value the significant contributions of people who look like me. So I'm curious about that. I don't understand why we would do that, but nonetheless, it's not helpful. There also can be cultural and historic losses. I'm here to tell you, folks, anybody that's on this call right now or may listen to the recording later, our history is connected to veterans, whether you served or not, whether your family member did or not. It's part of our collective national history of what veterans did and do for our country every single day. And to distort that and to falsify it and to erase it erases our collective history. Our history. We own this. This is us as a people, as a nation. And I think that's probably going to grow into a bigger problem here as we keep moving forward here. Uh, as we also already heard, DEI is also being degraded in other parts of our country as well, and this is an example of that. Last thing here is social and political polarization. Veterans can become politicized, used as tokens, or maybe even just completely ignored altogether. So what can we do? That's the thing, right? I'm kind of giving you some doom and gloom here, and I apologize for that, but it's kind of a doomy, gloomy kind of a situation. But here's what we can do. So we can support our organization, our BRGs and our ERGs, right? Our employee resource groups, our business resource groups. We can partner with over 100 nationally recognized veteran service organizations, or we can also, either as individuals or as organizations, partner with the more than 45,000 nonprofit organizations that happen to cater and serve and support veterans. So there's a lot of support out there, a lot of people doing a lot of good stuff. I already asked, do you have family members? Have you ever sat down and listened to them? What are their stories? They're pretty good. We might want to listen to them and kind of find out what's been going on in their lives. What was it like to serve? What was it like to deploy? What was it like to be whatever it was that you did? There are, by the way, over 23 veteran and military annual celebrations in this country. We know, like Veterans Day, Memorial Day, those are the most popular ones, are the most well known, but there's a bunch more, 21 other ones. So do a little research on that. That might be good. Document and share stories of the veterans. Like I said, have you heard your family talk about what they've done? Does your organization have veterans in it? And if you do, have you identified them? Are they featured in your podcast, your newsletters, your opportunities to have your company picnics? Is there an opportunity to have a keynote presented by a veteran, perhaps, that is aligned with one of those 23 celebrations that we have available to us? Provide them with mentoring and coaching. Or have them mentor and coach, maybe folks that are coming in, veterans that are trying to adjust to their new life. Contact your elected officials, support memorials, recognitions. When we speak up enough and loud enough, but people will take notice and will listen. So that really concludes what I've got to say. Veterans are not a monolith. They are as diverse as our nation. They represent the citizenry of this country. And I think anybody that's going to go ahead and put their life on the line, we owe them a debt of gratitude, and we should maintain and honor their history and keep it alive. And Karen, that's all I have for now. I look forward to any questions that we may have. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Karen, back to you.
Greg, one of the things you talked about as an action is that we can call our local representative. Can you share a bit more about, or give us an example of what it is we might want to ask for or say when we contact a local representative in our city and state?
Absolutely. Thanks, Karen. I would say if you're an individual and you're noticing that artifacts, historical records are being taken away, disposed of, are missing, follow that train, that chain of command of how is that occurring? Is it happening in libraries? Is it happening in schools? Who's in charge of the school or the library? And find out where those people are getting their directions to remove such items. I think that's the history of this country is that when things, we have, it's the First Amendment, it's our right to protest and petition and freedom of speech and a lot of other things. And if we're not using that, we mute the power of that right. So find those places that are getting rid of your things and find out who's in charge and why did they take them away, and have them explain that to you. And if that has to go up the chain of ways, it has to go up the chain of ways. But until we start asking, inquiring, the thing that's probably the most deadly is nothing, saying nothing, doing nothing, not pushing back, not questioning, not those kinds of things. If we're concerned about these kinds of things, then we've got to be able to ask questions, expect and demand answers from the folks that are. We have entrusted to protect the things that are ours as a society and a nation.